Hey guys, today is the first day of spring. Yay! And if you're like someone like me and lives in the snow's melting, but lives in a snowy wonderland for half of the year, then you'll be glad that it's spring. So, I want to do something a bit special, and today I'm going to be going through an in-depth analysis of Flash versus Rain. Yay! So, let's start this coffee talk. This is the game that Flash said in an interview that he had practiced for, obviously, but more unobviously is that he had a record of 70 to 2. 70 to 2 in this game. And it's also his 7th year anniversary, so all that food there, I'm pretty sure it's for Flash. I know that ginseng was for Flash. He was holding it after the game, but he got a lot of stuff from his fans for his 7th year anniversary of playing professionally. Such a long time. I remember watching him back in the day, him beating Stork in the GOM GSL and Tasteless casting all by his lonesome. It's like carriers versus Goliaths. And it was one of Flash's made-up builds that works really well and ends up changing the metagame. And as we can see, as we'll see in this game, this is another one of his made-up builds that suits his purposes very well, that he did not copy from other players. There's like ginseng. And his build is, we're going to be taking a look at why he does the things he does, such as why does he get such a fast engineering bay before stim, and why does he only get attack on his units as well. So this game, it's opening up pretty normally. Flash with his standard engineering bay block. This usually delays a Protoss fast expand by about 20 to 30 seconds, depending on if they make a Zealot or not, or if they have a probe too. Oh, excuse me, I just woke up. If they have a probe to scout out, I think Rain was caught a bit off. No, he only has 230 minerals, so he has a little bit of time. And if there was no Zealot there, he would have just canceled, or if there was no engineering bay there, he would have just canceled the Zealot and made a Nexus. So this engineering bay forces out a Zealot, and it forces the commands or the Nexus to be later than usual as well. So Rain would have already liked to start his Nexus right about now, or at about 350 because it's a Mothership Core expand, but his engineering bay forced out a Zealot, and now it's going to delay it for about like 10 more seconds, which is really great. That's why Flash does this engineering bay block almost every game. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any games or played it because I don't personally engineering bay block. So I haven't seen what you do against one base builds, but against someone you know who is playing a macro game, it's very, very good build. But if you don't, but I guess you just have, and you have a Reaper too, so I guess you can just scout in the main and just make sure he's not doing an all-in. And if he's doing an all-in, like if he has a second gas in the starport instead of trying to break down the engineering bay, or even trying to kill the engineering bay, then he's going for a 2 base build. And you still have to like 5 minutes, 5:30 for everything except for a fast oracle to know what it's gonna be, like a DT rush off of 1 base, blink stalker all in off of 1 base, a 4 gate. They all hit at about 5:30 or later. So you do have a good amount of time to scout with your Reaper and get some information before you actually have to cancel that. As we see here, the very fast +1 from Flash, and I don't know if he's getting, we'll have to check his barracks count. Okay, so he does have 2 barracks. So this is 2 barracks and 1 engineering bay build, and he already has both of his gas up fairly quickly. So Flash is cutting, instead of getting a third Rex, he is getting an engineering bay and +1 attack. It's very fast, and I don't quite know all of the purposes that it serves, but just thinking off the top of my head, it's probably a good defensive timing or defensive upgrade because it'll finish by around the time that 2 base blink attacks and gateway attacks hit. And it also helps because if he does decide to do a little poke with his units, they'll have +1 attack as well. But Flash isn't going to decide any of that. He's just going to add a third barracks and a factory. So besides having that extremely fast +1 attack, he doesn't appear to be altering his build too much. And since he got that +1 attack, he's going to get that +1 armor, and then he's going to get an armory, and then he's just going to get +2 attack and then +3 attack from there without a second engineering bay. If we think about what that does to the Marines and Marauders, that means that they have less armor, so that when units hit them, they're going to take more damage. So something important to look at this game is going to be how Flash engages with his army and what he does to make his units take minimum damage while dealing out the most. All these Korean signs, I wish I could read Korean, but I can't. If we look at Rain's build, he's getting Charge, he's getting a Warp Prism, and he's gotten 1 observer, 2 observers. So this is kind of like the Rain build except into a Templar variation, because he's getting Charge and a Warp Prism, and he's going to add on a whole bunch of gateways, I believe, so that when the Warp Prism reaches Flash's base, he's going to have a big warping round. And getting those Immortals too are always good. They do so much damage, especially without the bonus armor to Marauders. They still can, like, I don't know if it's 2-shot, but they can definitely 3-shot Marines with combat shields. This is a good poke by Flash. He just stims a Marine forward to check the unit composition, and he sees 4 Zealots, 3 Stalkers, and 2 Sentries. It's kind of a little bit of everything. So it doesn't tell him anything about Rain's unit composition. He could be hiding some Colossi in the background. But what we do know is that he did make 4 Zealots, so he's not going to be doing any Blink Stalker play immediately because he's not focusing too heavily on Blink Stalkers. He doesn't have a lot of Sentries, so he's going to be playing defensively. 2 Sentries is enough to maybe force field this area off a couple times, force field these areas, force field the area over here to take his third. But 3 to 4 Sentries means that you're going to be going for an attack, and you're going to be using a lot more than just like what, 8 force fields. You're going to be using like 10 to 12 because you're going to have to keep remaking or re-force fielding off when the force fields die. So it doesn't really see anything in particular. This is what's really cool about Flash. He has this Marine here, and it spots the Warp Prism. And obviously, you'd have these Marines here in different areas of the map. Or, no, you'd have the Marines in different areas of the map on different maps. Like on Frost, if this was like cross positions Frost, then the Marines would be at those little choke points outside of your 3rd and your 4th base, just positioned right there. Or on Yansu, maybe it would be like right on top of, like right outside your defensive 3rd base, and then one positioned in that little narrow chokeway that leads up to your main in the offensive 3rd base. Just as spotters to check if there's warp prisms or anything coming through. So what we want to do is see when exactly he splits these Marines off. We can see on the mini-map there's one Marine going, oh, he's making his 3rd command center because I believe he did scout the Robo Bay and the Forge. I'm not too sure because I wasn't paying too much attention to his Reaper, but we do know that Flash knows it's a macro game, that's for sure. and he, like 99% sure he scouted it with his Reaper. Alright, so this push out right now, what it does is it accomplishes stimming one Marine forward to check for the Rain's unit count. He sees 2 Sentries, 4 Zealots, and 3 Stalkers. And he splits off 2 more Marines, one over here and one over here, to check for possible Warp Prisms that might try to hit at the 10:30 timing when Flash has his first 2 medevacs out, and his army is out on the map and moving towards Rain's base. And Flash is also taking a very, well, I guess I wouldn't say greedy third command center. This is actually a normal time, and at the third base isn't so greedy either, especially when you have full map control like Flash does. I would say this is a bit iffy if Flash didn't have these 2 Marines, because the War Prism might fly into the main and then scoot over to the natural if it was deflected from the main. I'm like, see the. Sorry, let me drink more coffee. All right. Yeah, this is pretty easily defended against everything that isn't a 2-base Blink Stalker or like 6 or 7 gate all in. So it's basically safe. And even if the SCV dies, you're close enough to your rally point where you can just move units to protect the third base. And also speeds up just the little bit of time that takes to float from the main to the third, or from the natural to the third. So this little poke here, this is when Flash does the Marines out on the map, and also 1 Marine into the natural. He's so on top of his game, alright. This is why Flash is 70-2, because here's the Marine there, here's his units being rallied into his natural. Watch how fast Flash sees it on the minimap. He stims this Marine, and then he moves these Marines quickly into position to be able to stop the Warp Prism. So it passes, and oh, wait a minute, did he already have? I think he already had units in his, alright, yeah, he already had units in his natural. That's what I like to do too. I wasn't too sure if they were on the ramp or in the natural. Something good that you can do, you don't need a bunker at your natural if you know your opponent's going for a macro based game, which is getting a bunch of tech out and then powering up and taking a third base. And in this game, we know that Flash has ID'd this because of the Reaper. That's really bothering me. I really want to be able to say a definitive answer. He probably scouts the expansion going down with the Reaper. Alright, so let's just keep an eye on the Reaper. This map doesn't look that great for Reaper because there's only like 2 places to go in, and Rain's Stalker, oh, we kind of moved it. But Rain's Mothership Core can stay right outside of the natural, and then Rain's Stalker can just patrol that one area that the Reaper has to jump up. So Flash is probably going to suicide his Reaper at 5:15-ish. That's usually the best time to sack a Reaper, because that's when the Protoss will have laid down his tech. And oh, he didn't see it, but he saw 2 pylons. It's actually surprising. He didn't see that. He didn't scout that 3rd pylon. He didn't have time. He was being run down by a Stalker. So he saw 2 pylons, and I would assume a Nexus. Actually, no. I don't think the Reaper made it that far because the Mothership Core was blocking the area. So let's see what Flash is doing, because we know for a fact that he did not scout the Nexus and he did not scout any other tech in Rain's base. So there could be a possible proxy out on the map, and that's what this Marine is looking for. And there might be a 1 base all-in coming soon. And if there is a 1 base all-in coming, then Flash needs to evacuate his natural and build a bunker over here to defend against it. That's another reason why you don't necessarily need a bunker on the low ground. And these units, by keeping them here, they can deal with any Warp Prism pressure that comes in. You can pretty much stim as soon as you see the Warp Prism come in over here, or in this case, Flash saw it coming over here, which gives him a big lead in dealing with it. And they can also go into the natural if need be, and they're also positioned pretty well for possible surprise oracles. So this position is a very good spot to have your Marines right up the ramp. So like on Heavy Rain, it would be right here in the main base, right outside the ramp that leads to the natural. On Frost, it'd be that main ramp. On Daedalus, that main. I'm trying to think of a map that doesn't have this big ramp. I guess I can't think of it. Ultrazine, Daedalus, Yansu. My mind's blanking on the rest of the maps. Habitation Station. Alright. So this Marine here, it might be able to scout. So it was scouting for proxies. It hasn't seen anything yet. And I think it might go to scout for it might see the Nexus, but I kind of doubt it because there's 3 stalkers guarding the natural. Let's see. Okay, so Flash, I don't think he was able to see the Nexus, but he did see 3 stalkers in a defensive location at 7 minutes in the game. If Rain was doing a blink build, the stalkers would be out on the map, so the Marine would have spotted them like over here, and he also might have seen a probe coming out, or he might have seen the mothership core out on the map as well, getting ready in position to do a blink build. But this map doesn't look that great for blink builds. Wonder why we can't I hope this is one of the new maps in the ladder pool. That'd be pretty great. So even though Flash didn't see the Nexus, he didn't see any tech, he did see 3 stalkers with his Marine in a defensive positioning. So that's all the information that Flash needs to know at this time to know what Rain is doing, or that Rain is doing his normal build, which is to get a Robo, get a Forge, and get 3 Stalkers for defense, because 3 Stalkers can defend against Widow Mine drops, they can defend against Marine Hellion drops. They're just the best. It's the best all-round defensive unit available. Let's see, where are we? It's 8 minutes into the game. So that's how Flash establishes that it's going to be a macro game. So as a result, he sends his Marines out at 9:30 and puts one of them here, puts another there to spot for possible warp prisms. And he also stims and pokes there, and that turret there, just in case it might be DTs. But this timing is a bit late for DTs. It could be just very delayed DTs, you never know. Unless you actually see the Dark Shrine. But it's also good to help zone out the Observer as well, because the Observer can't get near the missile turret, so you can kind of hide a bit of your army there. But Flash doesn't do it that much this game, and that missile turret's more as a precautionary measure than anything. Now Rain, he's such a good player. He has map vision of here for drops. That's what those 2 spotter pylons are for. So he's basically playing exactly like Flash is. And he has 2 observers over here in the main chokeways to see exactly when units are coming to his base. And Flash has the same thing. He has depots around the corner. He has a depot there. He has 2 Marines over here. He can see 100% everything coming into his main base. And see, if there was a Zealot over there, those like 2 Marauders and 2 Marines would just go to the 3rd and defend it. And now Flash stims again. It's like Rain, that was kind of sloppy by Rain moving the Warp Prism out like that. He could have tried to detour it away so that Flash wouldn't know that it's actually gone, because now that he knows it's gone, he can just move his units out of the main base and wait until he spots it again. Alright, so now we move on to the mid stages of the game. Flash has taken his 3rd base. He's getting a 4th and 5th racks. He's getting a bunker at his 3rd base right over there. We'll take a look at the building placement in a little bit. And he's also getting 2 Widow Mines. And he decides that because I'm pretty sure it's just after like playing with Widow Mines some more and doing that TvP VOD on when to use Widow Mines in this matchup, I think it's good enough to just make some Widow Mines until you know it's Colossi. So, like, if Flash saw Colossi over here, and Rain's doing a very good job of just showing these 3 Stalkers, he doesn't want Flash to see his unit composition. So Flash has to wait until the last possible second to keep making Widow Mines or to make a Starport and start cranking out Vikings. But I think against any charge lot based play, and it can even be like Colossi into charge and a lot of Zealots, Widow Mines are just great units. And there's no real reason not to get them against everything that is not Blink Colossi. And Flash has already ID'd this. He did that little poke at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Actually, now that I think of it, this 9-minute and 30-second poke that he did with that single Marine is actually the result of checking to see if he needs to make Widow Mines or not. And because he saw 3 Stalkers, 4 Zealots, and 2 Sentries with that little Marine poke, which I'm very surprised he saw. I guess these units do have stims, so Rain can't start kiting them with his Stalkers. So this little force, it's not meant to force a photon overcharge. It's just meant to take a little look at these units, and he sees 4, 3, 2. So this probably is what triggers Flash to start making Widow Mines at least, because he sees 4 Zealots, and you wouldn't have so many Zealots and so little Stalkers if it's not gonna be a Blink based build. So this already tells him that Rain is going to be investing in Zealots. He might have already seen the +1 on them. We'll have to see the production tab to be sure. There's the Warp Prism, just being very, very obvious, not caring about Rain winning the game or not. Alright, so, and I can't tell if that's +1 armor or I think that's +2 armor. He's had the Forge long enough so that I'm pretty sure it's +2 armor. So, by stimming the Marine in, then clicking on the Zealots or the Stalkers, he sees the +1 armor, so he knows that it's going to be a Templar build, because you only get +1 armor, and then +2, and then +3 armor for a Templar build, so that the Zealots can soak up a lot more damage. And since Widow Mines negate all of that, and he started Widow Mines right before they switched to this picture, or this scene. I don't think it's called a picture because there's people moving in it. So it's a motion picture, actually. Alright, so there we go. There's the Widow Mines. That makes more sense. And he's also building a bunker because of charge lot run-bys, and that Warp Prism is also out on the map as well, so he needs to be careful with where he rallies his units. They can't get too far out of position, but since he has a Marine over here, he's pretty safe about the Warp Prism entering through the natural, so he can kind of rally his units closer to his 3rd base, but he also wants to keep them close enough so that if the Warp Prism comes over here, he can stim back and be prepared to catch the Warp Prism before it causes any havoc. Let's see, 4 gateways, 1 cannon, because no, Rain does have detection. He just has 2 observers though. He doesn't have one with his army, so that's why he's getting a cannon. Cannons are always good against Widow Mines. You need them for detection. And he's getting +2 armor, he's getting Storm, he's getting Charge, so he's just gearing up to take his 4th base. None of his production is fully kicked in yet. And Flash, his production's kicking in, he has his 3rd base, and he's making Widow Mines, he's getting +2 attack. Alright. And this Marine, if he didn't recognize the armor then, he definitely sees it now, and he sees a bunch of charge slots, so like, if none of the other signs confirmed what Rain was doing, this is the nail in the coffin, and this is what, like, if you had any doubt in your mind seeing this army composition, 100% he's going charge lot Templar. Now Rain, he's going to try to take his 3rd base. He is playing safe enough to the point, and he has this Warp Prism to add some pressure, so he's kind of safe enough. He has Storm as well to be able to try to take this 3rd base, and this map also is small enough. Oh, I guess Rain did get a 3rd observer. His 3 observer build. He usually gets 3 observers. when he does a Colossi build as well. So this is just a variation into Templar. And he's got 2 Immortals, which add great firepower to the army if they aren't targeted down first. Alright, let's see. What is Rain doing? He's sending these 2 Zealots with the Warp Prism. That was always a possibility to happen, and that's why Flash made the bunker at his 3rd. But Flash, he knows that this isn't the ideal 3rd base for Rain, and that Rain in fact wants to take this 3rd base, so he's moved all of his units to this side of the map, and he's gonna rally his units all together into one big army. Let's see what he's doing. So these units here, they're kind of just meeting up. Those were the first 2 units that poked into Rain's army, and then they're just meeting up with the reinforcements here, and then they're gonna do a little attack on the 3rd base with, I believe, the first 2 Widow Mines. I'm not quite sure though what's in Flash's army or not, but he's definitely gearing up to do an attack. Now we get to look at the important part, how Flash decides to engage this army, because he does only have 1 attack, or he only has 1 upgrade going, and it is attack, and he is only going to get +3 attack, and then +2 armor, and then +3 armor. So he doesn't want his units to take damage at all. And as we can see, he stimmed that Marine. This Marine shouldn't have lived, but his reaction is so good enough that it did live. Oh, this Marine, it's scouting for pylons or just units running by in general. It's kind of acting like an observer, except on the ground, so that's pretty good by Flash. And he does that coincidentally at the same time that he moves onto this side of the map, so he doesn't have to send a Marine here because his army is covering this side of the map. So he sends a Marine over here to cover this side of the map. And if we just look at Flash's vision, all these red dots, he has a red dot there, 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 there. I don't know if that might be a Viking. I'm not 100% sure. But he has vision everywhere on the map. And so does Rain. He has observers there, pylons there, another observer there. So map control is very important. These 2 players are demonstrating how important it actually is to be able to spot attacks in advance and prepare for them effectively. This Marine here, it stims back and it survives those charge lots because it only took 2 hits, which is insane. Ugh, coffee's getting cold. I just finished it. Alright, now we get to take a little look at this building placement. I really like it by Flash because this bunker has a very little surface area to get attacked by the Zealot. And there's these 2 depots there, and I think Flash is going to end up walling off this entire 3rd so that it makes a full wall off so that Rain can't just run units into like this side where the bunker isn't covering it and just really annoy Flash. This building placement, having a good building placement means that it shuts down Protoss's attempts to harass you a lot. And like, you don't have to do anything, just build your buildings in a specific way. And in this case, Flash is going to wall off the 3rd, 99% sure, and then he's going to have a bunker for defense as well. So it's a very solid defense. Okay, and that is a Viking patrolling, in fact. So on top of having a spotter Marine, he also has a Viking to patrol the map as well for Warp Prisms. So he really doesn't want Warp Prisms to get into his base while he's doing these focused attacks. So let's take a look at the first battle, first main engagement. The Flash, like, he instantly, as soon as Rain charges forward with his Zealots, he instantly moves back and starts attacking. Or starts, like, focusing down units. So this is very different from Maru's style of play, where he tries to use his units and pick off gas-intensive units, and like units that are important instead of just Zealots. But here, Flash's focus is just to chip away at anything he can get for no damage at all. And if he can get a Zealot, that's fine. And he'd rather get a Zealot and lose 0 units than get an Immortal or a Stalker and lose maybe 1 or 2 units. That's his mindset going into these battles. So as soon as he charges forward, he's able to do a little bit of tickling damage to one of the Zealots. And he hasn't lost a unit yet. And now, as soon as Rain charges forward, as we're going to see in a little bit, he immediately runs back, and then as soon as Rain retreats, he starts attacking Rain's retreating army. So he's gotten a Zealot out of this. Can't say it's a bad thing. I mean, getting a free Zealot, essentially, after all is said and done, is something I'd walk away with if I was on a game show. And Rain also did not want to use a Storm because he only has 3 Templar and he's trying to save up energy. So it's a good trade for Rain as well. Now these units, they're going forward, they're trying to snipe a Sentry, but they got force fielded. So Flash ends up losing a Marauder. He was trying to do kind of more of a Maru style, running a couple well, he had the same objective as Maru, he's just doing it differently, running a few units up to, and as a result, Rain's whole entire army is once again kind of caught out of position because these charge lots want to get to these units, but they can't, and now Rain's force fields are working against him. So Flash is able to, he's able to get a second Zealot, so he's gotten 2 Zealots for 1 Marauder. So that's, I guess, that's like as fair as it can get. And as we see here, he has this reinforcement point really close to his main so that he can rally towards, like, if a Warp Prism does come, he'll rally his units into his main, and then he'll move his reinforcement units from his natural into his main, and that'll shut down any Warp Prism harass. He has a response, and it's fast enough so that the Warp Prism won't be able to do too much damage. And he also has the option of reinforcing this main army as well. And we saw he baited out of Storm. I don't think he lost any units, so that's not a bad thing, keeping the medvac energy low. Now Rain, knowing that there's a Marine there and that he probably has, just this area is not a good area to do Warp Prism harass in, he's gonna try to go from the other side of the map, and these Marines, these hero Marines, just being able to 2 Marines shut down that Warp Prism, and that Warp Prism has done nothing the entire game. All because of 2 very well positioned Marines. Now, Flash, he saw that there was, oh, actually he might, let's see when he does this Doom drop. Alright, so there's the units there. Alright, so I believe all of the units are over here, and he's loading them. He's loading his reinforcements into the medevac, and now this is the Doom drop that's going. So instead of reinforcing this army, he's gonna do a Doom drop, maybe into Rain's natural or main base. Let's just follow it on the mini map. And he's also he's gearing up to do a multi-pronged attack as well, which is very typical of high-level players doing these multi-pronged attacks. Rain does seem to have a decent amount of defense. He has 3 Eye Templars and 2 cannons. He can warp in a bunch of units. And his main army's at his third, so he looks pretty safe for now. So let's see how much damage actually gets done. 1 medevac goes down for free. Not great. Second goes down for free. Not great. Photon Overcharge is cast almost instantly. And probes are also run. Oh, that was a nice Widowmine shot. Another nice Widowmine shot. So he got a decent amount of probes, but he was not able to do any damage besides that. He didn't even kill all the High Templars. So that was effectively shut down. And that was just great defense by Rain. And Flash even skirted past both the Pylon and the Observer, and Rain's reaction was just phenomenal for not having any vision of that and just being able to do this. And Flash, he's also doing this, he's kind of like gonna drop in, he's like at the third, and Rain can see that, and he's going into the main, and this was cleaned up really easily because he was kind of, I think he was trying to like dodge an Observer or something that Rain would have there. I'm not too sure why he would do that rather than just do a frontal attack like this. And ooh, he's caught out of position. Bunch of units get decimated, so now Flash and his other Doom drop got cleaned up, so Flash has essentially just lost his entire army, and we can see that is reflected in the army supply. Not that great. Flash just tried to do a multi-pronged attack into the natural and into the main slash third, but Rain was too well positioned. He has some units in the main, he has his army at the third, and then he has more defense in the natural, and that was able to deal with multi-pronged drops and whatever Flash had to throw against him. Now we can see this is approaching into the kind of mid to late game. It's a mid game transition into the late game. Flash is getting 3 barracks. He's getting a Ghost Academy. He's going to start transitioning out of this bio mine style. And we really didn't even see the mines being very effective. They got a lot of probe kills, which was great. Rain is only on 58 harvesters. And I guess because of that, that's the only reason Rain isn't able to walk over and to kill Flash right now, because his economy isn't at full saturation. That was pretty good. That was pretty good by Rain, getting those feedbacks off on the medvacs. Weakens them and also drains their energy, so that every time Flash stims, it's going to be a lot more effective for Rain. Now, typical Flash, as we can see, as soon as Rain turns around and like backs up, Flash immediately starts attacking the Zealots' backs like that. Let's just look at that whole fight again. Alright, so like, yeah, he's attacking his back when Rain's backing up, and he's also burning the Widow Mines so that if Rain does decide to charge back, he's going to get some shots off. But these medvacs aren't best controlled, and they end up going down. They end up going down. That was I think I said that weirdly. To the Stalkers and the Sentries and the Widow Mine friendly fire. You always want to have your medvacs kind of like over here so that they don't get picked off like that. Because if they're straggling behind the army and healing the units, they're going to be the last units that, or they're going to be the first units that Rain can get and the last units that Flash, the last units that part of Flash's army. God, why that takes so long for me to say. And I think there's still, I don't know why that's blinking. I guess there might have been a drop or something there. Oh, there's just one Marine. So I guess Flash sent the Marine from over here to over here. Now, these are just small things Flash does that I really like. So it looks like he's finished his wall off, and because his wall is now finished, he doesn't care if the units are coming over here or not, because they're just gonna hit a wall. So he's sending his Marine over to do some scouting information to see when Rain's gonna switch into Colossi tech. And Rain's going pretty hard on Charge Lot. He has a lot of Immortals in his army, and he has a bunch of Templars and Archons, and he hasn't decided to switch into Colossi tech just yet. Alright, so what he's decided to do, he's gotten second forge. I don't know why that says 1. That should be, I think that's like +3 armor going up, because he's had a forge for about 10 minutes in this game. So it wouldn't make sense if that's like +1 armor. That must be a mistake. So he's gotten a double forge, but I think he should still be able to afford getting a robotics bay. I think his Colossi switch was slightly late. He kind of over defended against Flash's aggression, and we did see how that shut Flash down. But now Rain should really be teching up to Colossi, because if you stay on Templar tech for too long, then the Terran can just get out ghosts, like what Flash is doing now. And Widow Mines are also still very effective against Templar tech. So I think this is definitely a mistake by Rain to delay his Colossi tech, especially after he gets such a big advantage by Flash doing a Doom drop and that doing nothing in the natural, and then getting his other drop picked apart as well. I mean, the whole drop didn't even escape. I think Rain's just playing this too overly cautious as well. Like, he doesn't even have a robotics bay going down. He has no, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say he has no motivation to switch in Colossi, but that's not it. He doesn't want to switch into Colossi right now, and I think, I very, very strongly think that's a wrong decision. Like, okay, so there's his Colossi. He was making Immortals, so he did want to switch into Colossi, but because of the fact that those Widow Mines got a bunch of kills in the actual, I think he kind of felt his macros kind of slipping because of that. And we can see 3 more gateways going down. We can see the robotics bay finally going down, and Rain still has a decent amount of money. And we can see Flash is also kind of floating money as well. So these players, it's a very, very intense game, and both of these players are kind of slipping in their macro. Alright, so this is just an insane reaction time by Flash. It's by looking at the mini map every like 5 seconds is he able to run away all of his SCVs before Rain can even do a high Templar drop. Like, that's how fast he did it. And he doesn't lose a single SCV as a result. And now Rain has 2 high Templar that are going to be almost useless. He gets like 3 SCV kills for 2 Templar, and then maybe, I don't think he even got he got like 1 Marine. So that was definitely not worth it. And Flash's Widow Mines still did get more. They did more damage than Rain's 2 high Templars did. Now, Rain's Robotech is very, very delayed. Rain's been going all out on this Charge Lot Templar composition, and if a Protoss ever decides to do something like that, then if you max out and you can attack the Protoss before he has any Colossi out, or even if he has like 1 but he doesn't have extended thermal lance and he doesn't have 2 robo bays to do a hard Colossi switch, then this army is going to do very well against Rain's current composition that he has right now. Like this, he has enough ghosts to blanket EMP all these Templar. He has enough Widow Mines to get rid of these Zealots. So right now, because Rain didn't switch fast enough into Colossi, this attack is going to do a lot of damage. And we can see his expert control sniping off 2 high Templar already for free, which is a great trade. That's at least 2 more storms that aren't available for Rain. Of course, he does have Templar in the background to back him up. But these units, they're just blanket EMPs, and now these Immortals are useless. Some of these Templars, they're getting sniped. Flash has really great control with his ghosts. And now he got those blanket EMPs off. Now Rain's army just dies because of that. Because he didn't switch into Colossi fast enough. And I think that's Rain's one tragic mistake that he made in this game. I do also think this is a new style for Rain, and Widowmine Friendly Fire killed like 3 ghosts. I do think this is a transition for Rain, and that he doesn't fully understand how to play Templar yet, but he knows that he needs to switch it up because his Colossi play is a bit predictable. And I do like to see him play different styles, and hopefully the next time we see him play, he'll be able to show a stronger or more well-informed version of what this game was. Like, it was a solid foundation, but he does have the potential to take his game higher. And like, if he was able to switch into Colossus after the Doom drop occurred, he would have been able to hold, especially if he threw down a double Robobay. He'd have guaranteed at least 2 Colossi. And if you chrono them out, I'm pretty sure you'd have anywhere between like 2 and 4 Colossi, depending on how much you can slow the Terran down from attacking. And having 2 to 4 extra Colossi in that engagement really helps your army if it doesn't get blanket EMP'd, which is what we saw happen to Rain, because he didn't have anything to combat those ghosts. And then Flash's entire army was just able to clean up the rest of it. So I hope you guys liked this video. It was a more in-depth analysis and a longer version, but it is the first day of spring, so I guess we can call it the spring edition. And if you guys have any videos or any topics that you want me to go over, just leave a comment and let me know.